I don't know where that power came from. To suspend an elected House of Assembly. I don't know where that power came from.
Okay, well, one of the things that I was going to ask you is that President TINiBU declared state of emergency in Rivers State. He suspended Governor Fubara and the entire elected members of the State Assembly. The president cited security concerns and pipeline vandalism as reasons for declaring a state of emergency. Do you believe this justification holds water, or are you cynical to the extent that you can't see any justification?
My people have this proverb. When you translate it, all it says is that when you see the landlord's child breaking the tenant's door, you know that the father has sanctioned the madness. A principal party to this mess is still sat in the cabinet. The president's pronouncement related to Rivers State renders him complicit, in actual fact, in the mess in Rivers State on the part of Wike. But without prejudice to how we might feel, I would imagine that the Constitution, which he swore to uphold, should guide his action. And it hasn't. If you're talking about state of emergency, the Constitution, as imperfect as it is, sets out the parameters by which you determine if there is a state of emergency to be declared. Rivers is nowhere near the most insecure state in Nigeria today. There are multiple states in the northeast, in the northwest, that have by far more level, even in the middle belt, that have by far higher levels of insecurity, where Nigerian lives have been lost on a daily basis. If anything, news agencies are suppressing those news, and the president does not see any emergency in those places. And even the last time anything like this happened in 2014, Jonathan did not presume to remove the 3 governors. I believe that was Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. He did not presume to suspend them. He declared the state of emergency, but he worked with the governors.
Political structure.
And even at that time, our present imperator was one of the loudest voices in condemnation of the mild steps Jonathan took. Look, Yoruba say, Ajekela no mokuleni, the witch cried yesterday, the child is dead today. It is a logical inference to draw that everything that has happened in Rivers State is based on political permutations for 2027, and the will of the people, which did not matter in 2023 in Rivers State, is being programmed to be relevant again in 2027. If the people were involved in the election of Similari Fubara, if it was an expression, if his election was an expression of their sovereign will, I am not sure that there will be a godfather somewhere demanding that his structure cannot be taken away from him. So when you are hearing talks of structure that cannot be taken away, structure of what? Structures for the enforcement of impunity of all forms. So the way the president has acted is suggestive of a proud father of a truant child whose child is fighting outside, and instead of quelling the battle, simply intervened on the side of his child with the paraphernalia of offices and everything he possesses.
So would you then be implying that since someone who is declared as the godfather of Fubara has said that his structure is what he does not want to lose, would you then be implying that that may be the reason why the people of Rivers are not up in arms against this decision?
Look, we as a people would appear to have become defeated. It is not just Rivers people who are not up in arms. I have found even those who are yesterday's defenders of human rights, defenders of democracy, ominously silent in this season. The average Nigerian has had poverty weaponized against him for so long that he is more or less focused on surviving another day. And in any case, the battle was never about him. Whether Similarity is retained in office or whether it is the man that they have brought by emergency, and whoever gets there based on this demonic system that we appear to be operating, the sole victims are the people. So what is the need for them? If they were connected in a manner where the Similarity had made that level of difference in their lives, or they are invested in him as a governor, you would have seen the connection that would have even stopped Wike from daring to do this to him. The House of Assembly members would not have presumed to do this to him. But it is the structure that delivered them into office, not the will of the people. So if the people are going to be fighting, they will be joining their own war. That is not to say that the people should not be alarmed or should not be more connected to what is happening to them, because the people have become almost like chicken in a poultry. The owner comes in from time to time and picks the one he desires for dinner, and they just cackle and it ends there, and they just keep going right after. It might even bring the entrails for them to feed on, and you can see that happening already. Some people who were against Wike doing this yesterday have today been declaring their loyalties, because everything is about serving the God of the belly. Nobody really believes in anything anymore.
Okay, well, let's move on quickly to this issue of the Senate approving the proclamation of state of emergency in Rivers State. What precedent does this set for democracy in Nigeria? Could this embolden future presidents to use emergency declaration for political control? A lot of people are wondering in Nigeria, it's all over the social media, where people are saying that any governor in Nigeria that upsets the incumbent president could end up in a situation where he's removed from office, in inverted commas, open and close, suspended, not removed.
Good for them. Look, unlike those who are alarmed, who are just cottoning on to the idea that we are not in a democracy, I have been shouting stridently for years that Nigeria is not a democracy. The people are not citizens. The law does not rule. And we are certainly not burdened by leaders. We have ruiners. I have said this for years. But you see, until suffering is democratized, a consensus cannot really be found for waging the necessary battle to end this state of anomy. Yesterday's beneficiaries, even those who brought TINiBU to power, those who refused to listen to reason, who endorsed it, who explained it, who were complicit in the erection of this system, they are going to become victims to this system. Lord Acton it was that had that long-winded quote, "Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely," nonsense. It should have simply stopped at "power corrupts." The purpose of power is to corrupt. Those who have brought this man into office will be the first victim of his rule. And it will be nice if they too begin to feel victimized as the average Nigerian has been victimized all this while. Yorubas will say, "Tiya Obakari Kokintogbon." If suffering is not democratized, consensus to fight it will not be found. It is nice to hear the likes of El Rufai bleating like a victim these days. That is what his victims have been doing for years. If he was sat in the ministerial office, I will not be hearing him bleating. It is nice to hear governors worried about how TINiBU will use the power that he has triumphantly claimed through the Molebu National Assembly. It's actually beautiful to see them worried, because it is in them worrying that they realize the need to bridle power. The law does not give any power that it does not bridle. When it gives you a power, it sets out the limits of that power. You have a president who is now unlimited by the constitution that we have always maintained is a lie. So that lie is no longer strong enough